carbon and energy efficiency is not only a big issue for the fiberglass industry, but in other industries as well. So petroleum and chemical industry is such industries. So on one hand, they are expanding their capacity, and on the other hand, they are also venturing into the new energy sector. So we want to give the floor to the next speaker, Ms. Wang Shuang from our member company, the Wang Shuang from China Petroleum International Capacity Cooperation Federation. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to join everyone here in the Shanghai Platinum Week. And I am from CPCIF. Today, I'm going to talk about the application and development opportunities of PGM in the petroleum and chemical industry. So first of all, I would like to talk about the market demand for the PGM under carbon peak and carbon neutrality. And the second is the application and my forecast for the PGM in the new market prospect. And also I would talk about the development strategies. Climate change is a major topic and major challenge facing the whole world. And because of this urgent issue, countries have joined hands to try to cope with this issue and mitigate the climate change. So from this slide, you are able to see that over 130 countries have committed themselves in the climate change mitigation, like Bhutan and Suriname and other countries. They have already achieved carbon zero, as you can see from this chart. And there are some countries most of the countries promise to achieve carbon zero by 2050, and we promise to achieve the same thing by 2060. You can see that carbon zero has opened new opportunities in industrial development. So the first movers will enjoy more resources and more opportunities, but the prospect of reaching the carbon zero has to do with the reserve and energy structure of the country. So if we look at China, well, we are rich in coal, but the poor in natural gas. So the coal takes over 50% of the energy structure. If we look at the countries like the US, French, Japan, and Russia, their biggest energy source is the natural gas instead of coals. From this point of view, we are able to see that there will definitely be more obstacles for China to achieve carbon zero than other countries. And in this chart, you can find that by 2035, the renewable energy is expected to take 50% of the energy consumption.
So it is fair to say that China faces urgent needs to achieve carbon neutrality, and we have yet known at what level will we achieve carbon peak, and even before we know about it, we need to make plans for carbon neutrality, representing a challenge to decision makers that may not necessarily be tackled by one or two generations of government. Instead, it requires efforts by more generations. However, the urgent international situation has made it a political task, and as a responsible country, China has formulated a 1+N policy system to achieve neutrality and peak. One represents the State Council's opinions on how to achieve peak neutrality by fully and precisely carrying out the new development concepts and principles. N represents the several or the N key industries about how to support them to achieve peak neutrality in order to achieve better and more beautiful environments. While this slide showed you some of the main pathways to achieve carbon neutrality, where hydrogen plays a very important role. Hydrogen plays an important role in electricity generation, and also it contributes to CO2 emissions reduction in manufacturing sector. And hydrogen will also play a vital role in the industrial transformation and energy transition. Hydrogen is also the choice for us to achieve neutrality, as it has a lot of advantages, including the varied formats of utilization and high energy efficiency. Various countries have adopted and released their hydrogen strategy. Take Japan as an example. Japan is working to build a hydrogen society internally and is pushing for the initiative globally. They try to have a Japanese-led hydrogen ecosystem across the world. For the United States, they try to lay out the infrastructure and to deal with or to tackle some of the key technical challenges. For the EU, the goal is to deploy green hydrogen at scale and at speed. What's more important for them is that they want to get rid of their reliance on Russia. So there is an urgent need for them to accelerate the development of hydrogen. Australia tries to make hydrogen a new driver of the economy, and they try to supply hydrogen to the rest of Asia. And Chile wants to rely upon green hydrogen to get a new driver for the economy, and also they try to shift from the non-renewable sources to renewable sources such as wind, solar, and other types of renewable sources. China is not an early mover on this front, but we have done this very fast. We have released a number of policies to support the development of hydrogen power, and we keep optimizing relevant supporting policies. For example, last year, the NDRC of China released a long-term plan for hydrogen development, where it made clear that hydrogen will play a key role in China's energy mix in the future, and hydrogen represents a new promising direction, and hydrogen has already become a strategic energy for China. And 2025, the fuel cell vehicles has a target of reaching 20,000 or 25,000. This shows you the global distribution of hydrogen projects. As of the end of last month, in total, 608 projects have been signed, and 534 projects have already announced their execution plan. So we see the emergence and the popping up, as well as the dynamics of hydrogen projects across the world. Given all the strategies and relevant projects, hydrogen has already received attention of various institutions such as IEA, as well as International Renewable Energy Institution. They think that hydrogen's proportion of the energy mix will go up from the current less than 1% to around 20% when carbon neutrality is attained. And globally, in 2022, green hydrogen accounted for less than 1% of total energy, and it is expected by 2025, green hydrogen will account for 2%, and in 2030, the number will reach 30%, and the total production will exceed 30 million tons. IEA also forecast that by 2030, global demand for hydrogen will exceed 210 million, which means 137.97% higher compared with the level in 2020. And by 2050, hydrogen consumption will be 10 times the current level, representing a paradigm shift. Hydrogen is increasingly used as a source, as a type of fuel. 5 years ago, we rarely see fuel cell vehicles. However, in 2022, according to our stats, we saw the production of fuel cell vehicles reaching 3,626 and the sales being 3,367, representing year-on-year growth and 204% and 112.3% respectively year-on-year. China doesn't have enough natural gas, but we have a lot of coal. About 40% of natural gas and more than 70% of crude relies on importing. However, China is very good at carrying out policies as long as right after the 1+N policy framework was released, China, from top all the way to bottom, has done a lot. As you can see, the red represents China, and the deep blue represents Europe, light blue represents America. Be it ocean wind or land wind, as well as other types of new energy production, China has on average over 65% of the total. In particular, in hydrogen fuel cell, China is the leader globally. The right-hand side shows the market and trend of global new energy batteries. As you can see, in 2022, China had 77% of the global market. According to Bloomberg, in 5 years, China will still have 70% of the global market, far exceeding US and Germany. And the absolute terms, China will see 7 times increase. In other words, whoever owns the Chinese market will have control over the future of hydrogen. Next, I want to talk about how hydrogen's development will be relevant to PGM. PGM are rare and they have a lot of advantages, in particular given its rarity in areas such as chemical, jewelry, healthcare, and investment. PGM are in huge demands and have extensive applications. The right-hand side shows the industrial demand for platinum, and as you can see, the overall trend is on the rise, and in particular, petrochemical and glass accounts for 50% of the demand for platinum, followed by healthcare, electronics, environmental conservation, and healthcare. Platinum and palladium are good catalysts. They have good electricity conductivity and absorption. In the area of petrochemical, PGMs are mainly used as catalysts, and petrochemical in this industry, over 90% of the reaction rely on catalyst. In other words, they have more than 70% of demand of catalyst among all the manufacturing sector. They have a lot of different types of reactions, from oxidation, hydrogenation, dehydrogenation, as well as carbonation and water hydration, as well as dewater, isomerization, polymerization. Catalysts are needed in all these areas. The right-hand side shows you where PGMs are used in the various processes of petrochemicals, such as PBH requires PGM catalyst, as well as benzoyl polymer are used extensively in our daily life. As a result, in China, demand for it increased, demand for propellant increased dramatically, and from this perspective, a platinum-based catalyst is a mature, oxygen-free catalyst for removing hydrogen, has already seen huge demand increase, and the prospect is even brighter. According to some forecasts, 1,400 tons of catalyst will be needed going forward annually. So as a very important catalyst for the hydrogen industry, platinum and PGM can be used in the 4 steps of hydrogen production, storage, transportation, and use application. So demand for PGM will keep increasing. Let me show you how different steps and processes of green hydrogen production will need PGM. Less than 0.01 ton per GW in the alkaline processes. However, with the technological maturation by 2030, 0.015 gram, and PAM's market share will keep increasing. Of course, platinum will be the best choice. However, demands will be dependent upon the price of platinum as well as the supply and demand dynamics of platinum. It is expected that by 2025 and beyond, platinum will see breakthroughs in their applications in PAM, water electrolyzers, and here I'm talking about both primary PGM as well as recycled primary. In other words, hydrogen production will represent new application use scenario for platinum and PGM. According to some analysis, for 200,000 GW electrolyzer capacity, the total demand for platinum will reach 24.9 tons. In the meantime, PGM has for applications in auto industry as well. In fact, catalyst is part of chemical application, and catalyst is used in car exhaust converter, representing an extension of their chemical properties, usually platinum, palladium, rhodium, are used in countless converter in order to convert over 90% of the harmful exhaust into harmless exhaust in order to reduce CO2 emissions. So the platinum loadings are shown in the chart. As you can see yourself, I'll skip the introduction of these figures. The right-hand side chart shows you the change of single electrolyzer platinum loading, how they have changed, and you see the overall trend is on the increase. With demand for platinum increase from the auto industry, the number of cars will keep increasing. Though the EU promised that it will start selling of fuel vehicles by 2030, still currently fuel dominate the market. And the right-hand side chart, well, the left-hand side chart, you will find the blue bars represent demand for platinum from the fuel in vehicle industry. You can see the trend is on the rise as well. In addition to fuel vehicles, demand by fuel cell vehicles and other types of vehicles for platinum represents another source of demand. So in 2022, hydrogen fuel cell vehicle was 3,300, accounting for 27% globally. If we calculate based on these figures, by 2050, global demand for platinum will exceed 50 tons from the auto industry. Actually, hydrogen-powered carrier ship, for example, China recently developed such a hydrogen-powered ship powered by hydrogen and a lithium battery. It represents additional demand for platinum. Platinum development strategy in 4 parts. First is to have an ecosystem. There will be a hydrogen ecosystem, and also platinum shall form a reasonable mechanism in terms of its price and supply to the hydrogen industry. The second part focuses on technological exchanges with collaboration or including collaboration with research institutes and between research and industry. The third part is about improving market mechanism. On one hand, platinum and PGMs are investment products. On the other hand, they represent important materials. There should be a balance between the two, falsely recycling and reutilization. There should be supporting policies, including tax benefits, to promote the recycling of PGM. Lastly, I want to give you a highlight of our alliance and our association. We provide you with an international platform for further collaboration, including communications with international organizations, including the promotional policies, as well as attendance of important industry exhibitions and conferences. We are willing to share all of our resources with you, and we have also formed a China Petroleum and Chemical Industry International Capacity Collaboration Partnership Alliance. We encourage Chinese companies to establish global presence by forming alliance between upstream, midstream, and downstream. We'll also have country-specific committees and special work committees. Depending on the industry's hotspot issues, we compile reports and submit reports to relevant government departments and relevant state-level leaders. So here you see the sponsors and initiators of the alliance. Feel free to scan our QR code to follow us on WeChat to get more updated about the information and reports. Thank you very much. Welcome to further communications with you. Thank you.